Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Trade Talks Live. I'm Roger Wakefield. If you've never been here before, we talk about the trades each and every day, and I think we need to work on our ISO here, Colton. We talk about the trades each and every day, but man, if you're new here, come hang out, listen to us, see what all we talk about, enjoy it. If you've got a question, please put a Q in front of it. I'll make sure that we get to it and answer it for you. If we don't get to it today, we will get to it tomorrow. We do that every day. And it's not just me in here. I got Squirt along with me.
How's it going, everybody? Henry Wakefield, Randy, aka Squirt, 20-year pipe fitter, and I'm all about talking trades. That's why I run Leak Pro now, to put the right tools in trades guys' hands.
And this video is sponsored by Leak Pro, and we think it is the most precise leak detection system for professional plumbers. And if you hadn't tried it, you want to talk about it, go to www.leak-pro.com. Check it out. TikTok, Instagram, great to have y'all here. Man, we're live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We also jump in over here on TikTok and Instagram. Love to have y'all come over for the conversation. I cannot read all the comments. I'm honest about that. Matter of fact, almost legally blind about it. But here's the thing. If y'all got questions, comments, love for y'all to jump over. Cool. First of all, national news. This is good because we've been talking about this, about plumbers setting their pricing, not just plumbers. If you're in any trade and you don't have your pricing set correctly, there's a problem.
Go ahead. I was going to say,
prices are coming up again.
Construction materials are on the rise again, guys. Steel, copper, and concrete costs have increased 8 to 15% since late 2024. This takes me back years ago where I couldn't get pricing good for an hour, okay? This is kind of how it started. It was these 10 to 15% bumps. And then, a month later, 10 to 15%. And then it started coming quicker and quicker. So keep an eye on these material prices, guys. If you haven't adjusted anything, you want to go back and look at it because prices are increasing. So check those standard prices for the materials that you use on a day-to-day basis.
And listen to what he said. Prices are increasing since the end of 2024. That was a month and a few days ago.
Yep.
Guys, we talk about this all the time. If you're in the trades and you're not checking your prices, your costs, anything like that on a regular basis, chances are you're losing money. And most people don't even realize it because they're not monitoring what they're paying for stuff near as tight as they should be. And guys, that's the one thing, materials, that is the one thing other than labor that can really eat away at your profits. So you've got to make sure that you're looking at it, you're watching it, and you're doing things like that. This happened a few years ago when we were having supply chain issues, when we couldn't get the boats in to the docks to get them unloaded. So, man, it's a tough world we're living in.
I was going to say also these labor shortages. This is continuing to impact our prices also, because getting the labor to put all the materials in, that affects your price at the same rate as the material cost itself. So keep an eye on these things in your business and watch where you're starting to lose money anywhere. Are you losing some of that profit that you're putting into these jobs? Because if it's starting to eat into your profit, it's time to adjust those prices.
And one thing you need to remember too is that with everything going on, all these large scale infrastructures, they get the right of first refusal because they're going to come in and say, hey, we need 10 million of this. And it's like, well, we've only got 11 million. Okay, great. If you want our business, you sell us the first 10 and we don't care what you do with the other million.
Yep.
And I mean, you're lucky because you were buying for big jobs.
Yes. And luckily I worked for a big contractor. So we bought bulk a lot of times. It was huge orders that we would do. So even our jobs that were small jobs, we still got that big benefit because in a bulk, this is what our company buys. And these large projects, when they lock in that 10 million out of 11 million, they're locked in on that, guys.
And it's theirs. It's got their name on it.
Right.
You don't get it. You get no rights to it.
That leaves $1 million left for you to try to get at a good rate too, before increases come. So build a good communication system with your vendors and suppliers because they're going to let you know. They know when increases are coming. They're the first ones that are aware of it, and they're going to pass it down to you so that you can look at your books. see what's going
And you can lock those contracts in, guys. If you're good at negotiation, use your negotiation powers. And I mean, if I'm a company and say I sell 100 water heaters a year, you know, what's wrong with me coming in at the beginning of the year and say, hey, look, I want to negotiate and go ahead and buy 50 water heaters right now. Buy it at this price. Or when you get this notification where they're saying, hey, look, water heaters are going to go up in 2 weeks. Water heaters are going to go up in a month, whatever it is. Okay. How can I buy 50 water heaters today? If you got to put it on terms, put it on terms. Do whatever you got to do. But say, look, these 50 water heaters are mine. Now you can have them, keep them in their warehouse. You can get them in your warehouse. You can do whatever you want to do. But guys, negotiating and setting yourself up with a contractor that way is really a smart thing to do.
Yeah, and you want to keep, checking these prices with these guys. Depending on the fluctuations at the time, it could be daily, it could be weekly, it could be monthly. But at a bare minimum, guys, buy quarterly, kind of take a look and see where you're at, see how your pricing's going, see how jobs are doing based on the revenue that we estimated them at. Because if you estimate that 20% revenue, did you make the 20% or did you lose 5%? Or did you make 25% on that job? Take a look at it, see what's going on so that you can make those adjustments as needed.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and roll into bottom line because this is something that I think is huge. And I didn't learn this until later. When I first opened my business, we did not have financing. And matter of fact, whenever we first found out about financing and I applied, my credit wasn't great. So I couldn't get approved through these companies. But we started working on that. And there's a lot of different companies out there that literally could grow their revenue probably 10 or 20% just by offering financing. And the reason I talk about this is 60% of homeowners delay projects because they don't have the money to do what they want to do. They're like, look, I can't afford it up front. And when I hate to say this, when I was first taught about homeowners, one of the things that they talked about is most homeowners cannot write a check for $2,500. They just can't do it. They're like, look, I don't have that money in the bank. Most homeowners live check to check. They're not broke, but they're not ahead. And when you come in with a problem that say it's a $2,500 water heater, if you come in with that problem and they're like, look, I can't do it. There's great benefits to offering financing, but number one, talking to people about the sale up front. You come in, you tell them, hey, look, it's $2,500, but it won't cost you anything today. They're like, okay, what do you mean?
Yes.
I can have hot water today and it's not going to cost me anything? No. And another good way to say it is, okay, it's $2,500. Do you want to use your money or our money? They're like, what do you mean use your money? Well, if we can get you approved for financing, which there's companies that will approve people that probably shouldn't get approved. Okay. I'm just being honest. But if a homeowner has a choice of writing a check for $2,500 today or paying $100 a month for the next 5 years, they're like, you know what? I can do the $100 a month, but I can't do $2,500. Now, is that a great thing? Maybe not. Maybe not for you. But you know what? It may be life-saving for them. They may be like, look, I can at least afford hot water. I can get a water heater. So it's a great thing to have and a great thing to be able to offer. But you've done a little research on this.
I have, more contractors are offering financing options, guys. And, we're always talking about how do you set yourself apart as different from everybody else. Be one of the guys that's offering these options to your customers because it's going to help build that relationship. And you want to talk about loyalty. If you came and gave me hot water in a time that I could not do that for my family,
yeah,
I'm not calling anybody else. Okay,
there's no need.
Any problem in the future, you are getting my phone call. Period, because you helped me out in that tough situation. I was talking about this the other day about AutoZone and some tires back whenever I was an apprentice. I couldn't afford tires. I had $20. The guy sold me 4 used tires, put them on and everything for $20. I've always gone back or discount tire.
Oh, I was going to say, wait,
Discount
when did
tire.
AutoZone do that?
I've always gone back to Discount Tire for tires ever since because he helped me in that situation that I was stuck. I didn't have any options. This wasn't an option back then, but he worked a deal with me on something that he had that he could do. Things like that, people do not remember
Or don't forget.
and never forget it.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll always remember the people that helped you when you couldn't help yourself. And look, financing is a thing to do. And if you're selling, I mean, imagine a website, and I'm immediately go straight to marketing. Imagine a website that you click on this website because that's normally how people find you. But you click on this website, and one of the first things it says is if your plumbing job is over $1,000, you can get it done and pay nothing today. I'm calling. And a lot of these companies say it's $1,000. And I don't have a calculator here in front of me, but say it's $1,000. And they say, hey, we've got 6 months interest-free financing. Do you want to spend your $1,000 now, or do you just want to pay $75 a month for 6 months? Maybe it's $80 a month. It's like, wait, there's no interest? Yeah, you just have to make that payment on time. Okay, I can do that. Now you don't pull that $1,000 out of your savings account, out of your checking account. You're like, look, I got $1,000 at home, but I didn't have to spend it because they offered me an option. They offered me financing interest-free, so it didn't cost me any extra. It's like, oh my God, I was wanting to change out the toilets. After I get this paid off, can we do the toilets? Absolutely. And you give them an opportunity to do some unique things. Now, we're going to roll into safety because, number one, safety, we talk safety every day. We mention it. It may not be a topic every day, but we're always tie something back to safety. And the reason is Randy and I both worked out at Texas Instruments. We've both worked for some big mechanical contractors, and we have seen confined space shops. We know what it looks like. We've been involved. I remember at TI having to go in, you go in through a little 2 foot by 2 foot door, and there's no other way out. And you're in here working in the Murphy system, subfab underneath it. There's things that have to be done in there. And to see the precautions people go through for safety is big, but we're going to talk a little bit about confined spaces today.
Man, yeah, because, we know a lot of trades guys, especially like plumbers, welders, and HVAC techs, regularly work in tight spaces. There's crawl spaces that you've got to get into. There's tanks that you've got to deal with, get into sometimes. Underground vaults. We see this all the time. I used to be a kid. I used to like hopping in the storm drains and stuff. You never really knew. Oh, that's a confined
There's another
space.
way out, but it's way down that tunnel.
That's right. It's supposed to be with an accessible means of egress.
800 yards away is kind of accessible.
That's it. But some of the ones I were in, you could ride a bicycle in. Like, it was huge.
Yep.
And, I'm sure some of y'all have seen this. Like a dumpster outside, that's a confined space. A lot of us have worked in confined spaces and never knew that we actually worked in a confined space. Dig a little ditch, tunnel under the house a little bit. It's a confined space. It really is. Be throwing this guy in one before long. We try.
Yeah, he means today. I'm just telling y'all, in a muddy hole.
But like some of the biggest things to think about, guys, is the air that's down there. You want to check that air because if there's anything, like we worked at TI, things like that. So there were some dangerous gases and stuff that you can't see or smell. So you had to put a lot of monitors in things to check to make sure that it's adequate. Is there enough oxygen in this space for somebody to go in? Do we need to use something else to actually make it to where they can go in there and do that? Just a lot of different things to think about there.
It's funny. We got a post in here, and I thought, man, did I miss something? It says, okay, first of all, apocalyptic survivor. Is it still plumber's crack if you do HVAC? Yes, it is. Alex Diaz says, happy Veterans Day, but Veterans Day is November the 11th. So a little off there, but to be honest, every day should be Veterans Day. So I have no problem at all with that. OSHA reports that 60% of confined space deaths happen when workers fail to test air quality. And I hate to say it, but air quality is one that a lot of people don't even worry about. They're like, look, we're outside, we're in an open ditch. We're not worried about air quality. There's no gases here. There's no nothing.
Yep.
But, we talked about me being in the basement the other day, soldering and brazing, and I've got a torch, and the torch burned up the oxygen. I had no idea. I'm down here soldering, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm getting loopy. And I stood up above it, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, I feel okay again. It's like, oh my God, there's no oxygen here. So confined space monitors tell you that. The gas monitors tell you high explosive levels, meaning, say my flame went out and I didn't realize it, or I realized it, but I forgot to turn the torch off and just set it down. I start working on other things. Whenever your, flammable gas levels, something like that, whenever your number gets above a certain level, your monitor starts going off saying, hey, don't strike an arc. Don't make a spark.
The LEL, I think, like explosive level or something like that. Yeah. Yep.
So, there's things like that. And look, it's been a while since either one of us had been in confined space. So again, go to something else. Your training has to be current and up to date.
Yes.
And if we walked into Texas Instruments today and said, hey, we want to go in here and shoot a video, they're going to be like, yeah, that ain't happening. Because they'd be like, okay, wait, do we need a monitor? Do we not need a monitor? They're like, yeah, you need to know that. So,
and it's important to get it updated and stuff, guys, because there can be some things that happened that they've come up with some new steps to help prevent those accidents from ever happening again that you need to learn and be aware of, because all of this stuff used to be nobody knew about it. This is the things that we've put into place, learning from all of those mistakes that happened, the deaths, the injuries, different things like that. So just proceed with caution, learn, get certified, get it fresh and current. Huge.
And always test the gas, test the air first before you ever go in. Most important thing to remember. All right. New construction. There is a boom in prefabricated steel buildings. And it's great because we're looking at steel buildings right now. So,
yes, prefabricated steel structures are gaining popularity for commercial and industrial buildings and homes. I've seen more barn dominiums across social medias in the last couple years.
Texas, we have them.
Than anywhere. But yes, we are in Texas, so it's something I've looked into before many times, which kind of helps us because if you can order a steel building online and they engineer it, give you drawings and everything for it, and you can just have it put up in your space, that's huge, guys. A little different than the old, I'm buying a house, I'm buying a building, this, that, and the other. They did a lot of tilt walls and stuff. But these steel buildings, it's pretty affordable for a lot of things to get going off the start.
Well, and think about it. There's a lower labor cost on it. Because number one, like we talk about all the time now, they're manufacturing it in a warehouse, somewhere in a controlled environment. They may build 10 of these a day. So it's like rinse and repeat, do the same thing over and over and over again. It's the great assembly line. Just get it in, build it, build your piece and move on.
And I was going to say a faster build time, because then it's like putting together this Lego set. Here's your instructions. These pieces go like this. Here's all the hardware that you need to get delivered. I don't think they send all the hardware. Some of them do. It depends on which kit you go with. But it's a Lego set, connector set. Here you go. Here's the piece. Here's where it goes. Here's how it goes. Here's what you need to do. Here's the steps that they've learned on putting this thing together.
And it's just, it's neat to see how they do it. I've been blessed in what I've got to do in my career. I actually got to go out to Ahern, Vegas, and see them build these buildings inside. And it's funny because they're putting one up over here on Highway 78. Looks like a Dutch Brothers coffee or something. And I'm driving by looking at it thinking, I wonder if that's the one that I saw them building when I was in Vegas the last time. Because, guys, they can build anything. I mean, they can literally prefab a building, a barn. And we're looking at one that's, what, video we watched yesterday is about 20 feet tall, 21 feet tall, 60 feet wide, 100 feet long. And that's just one of what we're looking at. But it's like, wow, you know what? They send it out in a kit. Then they have their installers come out and bolt it up or weld it up or however you choose to put it together.
Yep.
And it's like, man, this is nuts. But they've done this so long now, and to see them, and even where I went to in Vegas, they're doing homes that way. They can build mini homes, and not even, some of them aren't even really mini, but they can build these homes here, and they're shipping them to like Costa Rica to install on the beach somewhere. Hook up your plumbing and call it good to go. But this benefits welders, electricians, HVAC techs, plumbers, because we now have an indoor controlled environment to work in. Work's going to keep growing because the more people see these, the more people buy them, the more they ship them around the world. And it is just crazy. But you can get started in this prefab boom by reaching out to companies that are building them. It's like, hey, look, I'd like to find a way to work with y'all. I've got plumbers I can supply. Figure out what's going on. Figure out how to get in there and do it.
Yeah, if you're a plumber, electrician, any of these skilled trades that are needed for these steel buildings, get in with some of these manufacturers that are putting builds in everywhere. And if you're certified in the state or whatever of your area, you can piggyback off of them and try to offer your services to their customers too, so that it becomes kind of a turnkey operation as all in one, and then you're subcontracted out from under them, and that can keep your guys busy for a while.
And we all want to stay busy because when we don't, we get bored, we get frustrated, and that starts leading to mindset problems. So, talking about mindset, how do you stay busy and productive during a slow season? And there's a lot of different ways to do it, but normally, especially for HVAC, in the wintertime, work slows down. HVAC technicians are busy from like April to November, somewhere around in there. Maybe not quite November, but September, October. And when it slows down, it slows down. And we've talked about different people that I know. I know salespeople that they'll work April to July, August, and they're done. That's their whole year. They can come in and make $300,000 or $400,000 in 6 months. They're great salespeople, but they go out there, they go very in depth in people's units, tell them what all's wrong, and then they give them a list of recommendations. And then they say, do you want to spend your money or do you want to spend ours? Because we can set you up with financing where literally you can get this entire system for $250 a month. People are like, okay, that keeps us cool. I'm good with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like there's times that we've had slow days on the job, rain days, snow outs, different things.
And rainy days aren't just to go to the topless bars.
They're not. It's not just it's rain out, everybody go home. I would put some guys in the Connex, straightening and organizing things, checking inventory. Put some apprentices in. Can you pre-generate some hangers for tomorrow? Do you know some things that you need? Is there anything out there that y'all can do, or is this just a bust and y'all just want to go home and you're giving up? Depending on your guys, depends on a lot of that. But guys, if you can come up with some creative ways to take that day that's about to be a non-productive day and turn that into a production somewhere that's going to help you in that future, think outside of the box like that, because it can really benefit you on these projects.
And anytime you can find a way to keep your guys busy, I was joking about the going to the topless bars, but a lot of guys will do that. It's like, wait, it's raining on Monday. Well, they got paid on Friday. Well, by the time they go to the topless bar on Monday, they come to work Tuesday and they're borrowing lunch money because they're like, look, I'm broke. So you've got to watch that, but you've got to find a way to keep them busy. And if you can do that, if you can bring them in and say, hey, like, we talked about Uncle Grant the other day having people come in on a Saturday to do the copper. Well, you know what? It's rainy, it's snowy, you can't do anything, but your guys don't want to take off. Well, let's do the copper today. Let's clean it all up. Let's get it ready to recycle. You're paying them a different way. You're doing something different, but you're finding things that can keep them busy.
For some training, is there some training that your guys need? Soft skills that there's some online training courses that you could have them sit down and do that. These things make them better as a worker and how they appear to other people, which is going to make your business look better. So some of these trainings and things are things that you could think about too. Or if it's that apprentice that only works on this, well, can we throw him in a Connex? He only does cast iron. Well, let's throw him over here, putting together some copper with this guy so he can learn those basics today. Right. And boom, that is a major day for that guy.
Let's teach him something new.
That's it.
And look, we all, I remember listening to Tony Robbins one day, and he says, you know what everybody wants? They want progress. They want to know they're doing something better. They're doing something more. And if you can take an apprentice that normally does, like Randy said, cast iron. Well, it's raining today, so you can't get out and work in the underground. But even though he's going to make me do it in a little while. I heard you laugh. But if you can teach him copper, if you're like, look, we can teach you something new. Things like that are great. Because anytime you can do stuff like that, it gets people's minds where they're like, look, they're learning something new. The last thing we all want to feel is complacent. We want to feel like we're getting better, we're growing, we're learning more, we're doing better, whatever it is. And you talked about soft skills. Set them down in front of a computer. Let them go through an online training. It's going to teach them valuable communication skills. Teach them about emotional intelligence. They say emotional intelligence is the one thing that when people learn, these are the people that go on and make the most money. So, what could you do to teach your people more about emotional intelligence? And it's huge when they walk into a house to understand, hey, this customer's afraid. This customer is scared of what's fixing to happen, what they're going to be told. This customer's not worried about it. This customer's happy that we're here. You learn how to communicate with them based on the way they're feeling. And, we talk about PCM a lot. And that's a good one because if you can communicate with people in the way they want to be communicated with, it's going to be better. So remember that and do that. And before we go on to sponsor, I'm going to remind everybody, like, if you're subscribed, even if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so that you don't miss out on anything. That way you get notified. We go live every day at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. And if you haven't done it yet, hit the thumbs up button down at the bottom. Let us know that you enjoy what you're talking about. It doesn't just let us know, it lets YouTube know. And then YouTube starts sharing this with more people. And if you're on TikTok or Instagram, I would love for y'all to jump over to YouTube just to come say hello. If you've got a question, a comment, anything, jump over to YouTube, find the Trade Talks 2.0, and let us know your thoughts. Scott, tell us about Leak Pro, because that's who has sponsored today's video.
I'm Henry Wakefield with Leak Pro. I want to thank them for sponsoring today's videos. We could be here live with you. We build the best leak detection system for professional plumbers. And we say that because it's easy to use. It's the equipment, an on-off button so that it's not rattling your brain all the time. One wire up to your headphones, one volume knob. That's the only adjustment in the whole device. There's two different devices that we build. We build the probe, which is more for your outdoor from the meter to the home or irrigation type things. We also build the Sidekick, which has an aluminum rod, and that is what we prefer to when you go inside the house because it kind of removes the layer of concrete when you're actually listening for your leak. If you want to find out any more about our equipment, check us out at www.leak-pro.com. If you want, you can book me for a Zoom call on there, and we can discuss training. I do a 2-day training course out here where I teach line locating, leak detection under a slab, leak detection outside of the slab, sewer isolation test training in PVC and cast iron. And then we can also get this guy to take a look at your business as far as the marketing side and see how your website's working for you. As well, you got screwed over by enough marketing companies. So that's why we added that service in also in our training, just to help you out. If you want, give me a call at 1-8888-LEAK-PRO, and we can discuss anything you want.
And the cool thing about it is, look, this is for professional plumbers. If you want to grow your business, you want to grow your revenue, you want to grow your bottom line, you want to grow your relationships with your customers, because now you can take better care of them, go check it out. www.leak-pro.com or call Henry at 1-8888-LEAK-PRO. Now, this is something that I talk about a lot because I help businesses, I help coach businesses how to grow. And a lot of them are like, well, I just want to buy other plumbing companies and absorb them all up, which is great. It's what the VC groups are doing. It's how they're growing to be so big. But I teach people, instead of just rolling up, roll out. And this is exactly what it is. If I'm a plumbing company and I buy a roofing company, an electrical company, and an HVAC company, now I can cross market to each and every one of the customers at each one of these companies. I can let the roofing company customers know now we do plumbing, electrical, and HVAC. And then we can do that with each and every one of them, We can create a newsletter that we send out to all 4 companies explaining the merger, explaining the acquisitions, explaining why we do what we do. But more companies are doing this because You got to look at this. If you're an electrical company and you acquire an HVAC company, it's really easy for you to go in and look at these units and test them and do different things. And you learn the HVAC side. 90% of HVAC work, if you're doing residential service work, 90% of the problems are electrical. So learning how to cross train your people can help you do a lot. And the good thing is once you've got, especially the plumbing, electrical, and HVAC, and I could literally hire or bring in an HVAC company and an electrical company today, get every one of them their plumber's apprentice card, get all the plumbers their HVAC and electrical cards. I mean, you can do all this because now it's all your company. Now you train your people instead of the guys going home on a rainy day. It's like, hey, the electricians are working indoor over here. Would you like to go over here and help them hang lights? Sure.
One of the best parts of all of this, you control the team. Like
Everybody works together.
I can remember being a pipe fitter on the job, the mechanical side, and we didn't have the plumbing. We didn't have the electrical. It's kind of a fight a little bit more than it is if you've got the mechanical, the electrical, and the plumbing all under one hat, one company that owns it all. You work together a whole lot better than when it's separate companies and separate entities, even though we all try to get along on a job site, yes. But if one person's over it all, they can actually make everybody talk and communicate better. And what's the key to slowing everything down? Poor communication.
And I'll tell you this, look, it doesn't always work smoothly. I remember doing a big church remodel in downtown Dallas. The HVAC guys had this crazy transition piece that had to go in back in this chase. And I told them, I said, I've got a piece of pipe going back there. I need to get that pipe in before y'all put that transition in or I won't be able to get it. Well, I was the superintendent on that job for our company. So I ran all the MEP, every bit of it. Well, he was bringing some people in and they were supposed to do something else and they went in and hung that transition. And I found out about it about midway through the day on Monday. And I called his boss. I said, I'm going to have him remove it. He said, Roger, that's going to cost us a lot of money. I said, no, it's going to cost me twice as much to have to do what I got to do. But your guy was told not to do that. And he said, look, if you told him not to, he said, you're running that job. You do what you have to. And I did. I made him remove it. Yep. And he was livid. He said, he said, I paid guys all day on a Saturday to install that. And I said, well, you were told not to. So that was your fault. And he got upset. And I gave him a choice. I said, you can either do it or you can get off this job and I'll get your replacement. Yep. And it's like, look, at the end of the day, we've got to work together. And if we work for the same company, it's a lot easier to do. But you've still got to understand it's in some people's blood of, look, I'm just going to get and do what I want to do.
Yes.
No, not anymore. We work together.
That's it. Like I've had guys cut my rods and just left my pipe hanging and they're, oh, well, you should have known. I said, no, because if you go back and you put that up, it's exactly between the two pieces of duct that you hung because I specifically took the extra time to get that rod exactly where it had to be to avoid everything.
You bet.
I said, now get one of your guys in there to put it back up. They finally did. And they were like, holy crap. Like,
yeah, we see why.
You put a lot of extra time in that. Yes, I did because I knew y'all were coming. I knew that y'all had to do it. I had to get my line in. I talked to the guy, but obviously y'all didn't talk to him, did you? And they're like, yeah, we didn't. It happens.
It makes it tough. Okay, laws and licenses. And I love the first item because we're talking about Texas, but man,
yeah,
we need to get stricter at it. But let's talk about what's changing for the trades licenses in 2025, right?
Texas is cracking down on unlicensed contractors, guys. With everything that's been going on, Texas is cracking down. If you aren't licensed to do what you're doing, go out and get your license because you don't want to get caught. I promise. We don't like people doing wrong things here, and you don't want to be a part of that side of the world. I promise.
and it's really funny because there's a lot of, and look, I'm blessed that I have the relationships that I do with Lisa Hill and Frank Denton. And they're constantly looking for houses where they can run a sting where, hey, look, can we invite these plumbers that we think are unlicensed over to look at your work and give you a bid and do this? And they'll set up video cameras. they'll bring them in. They'll say, "Hey, man, look, we can sell you a water heater." They'll put a permit and inspection in there, knowing they're never going to get it permitted and inspected. So the fact that Texas is cracking down, I love it. But it's also up to each of us as trades company owners, licensed plumbers, to report people when you see things that aren't right. I mean, report it. And when people used to call me and say, "Hey, we had a plumber come out and try and jack us over and lie to us and steal from us and all that," I'd call down to Austin and say, "Hey, look, just gonna let y'all know, here's the invoice, here's the estimate, or the invoice or the estimate. Here's the estimate that they left behind to do the work. You run this guy's name. He's not even a licensed apprentice. And you go check the master number of the company and it's not legit or something like that." And I was more than happy to help them because these people were doing people wrong. What's California doing?
California is pushing for faster license approvals. Now, this is something
No, wait. Lisa Hill, Frank Denton, did y'all hear that?
and this is for electricians and plumbers. And I was about to say, you ever talk to this guy? He wants us to speed up our process here in Texas.
I do.
It shouldn't take the hours required nowadays. Things have changed. Technology has
There's new ways to learn.
advanced.
Yeah.
So we learn a lot quicker now, and that's huge. So California is pushing to speed that process up for people, which is huge and great. Florida is now requiring HVAC techs to take refrigerant transition training. New refrigerants are coming, old ones are fading out. You're going to have this so that they know you are trained on the current things coming and you're involved in it. And I think that's huge. It's a great thing to do also.
Yeah, I like that because you've got to evacuate the old refrigerant, install the new. I mean, you've got to do a lot of things to get everything ready for that. So I think this is a great thing to do. Randy, how can tradespeople stay ahead of the changing license rules and things?
Keep your certifications up to date and watch any state legislature updates. Like you're a plumber, you check with the state plumbing board here in Texas all the time.
You can get online and check with it too.
Check it in your state, in your area, the counties, the cities, all the levels. You're going to want to know if anything's changed, if anything's coming, so that you stay current on all these things. But make sure all your certifications are current and up to date. That's one of the biggest things for anybody because you do not want to lose those certifications.
And the whole thing behind it, guys, is look, continuing education, certifications, they're all things that are part of what we do. I love it.
Just in a sec, that KG.
Yeah, I saw that. And we'll do that. But make sure you do keep your certs up. Look, I love that Texas, you can go online and look at the notes from the board meetings, things like that, the things we're going to be talking about. You can also go to the board meetings. So it's good stuff. KG says, "I'm a flatbed truck driver veteran." Thank you, sir. Turning 36. Am I too old to go into the trades? No. I had an apprentice when I was an instructor that was 55 years old. So no. Also, so I live in Washington State. Are the trades different from state to state? The trades aren't different. The codes, the addendums, the things like that we install the pipe by, that's what the difference is. But literally, like, tell me where you're at in Washington State, and I can probably help you find companies that are probably looking.
I was going to say, like, pipes, roofs are roofs. It's going to be a little different in each state, yes, but a house still goes together pretty much the same.
Business training, how to handle customer complaints. Now this was something that I want to say that I was good at for the most part, but we didn't get a lot of customer complaints. So it's not like something that I had to do every day. But I want to talk about it because reviews on websites are one of the most important things. And unfortunately, that's where people want to complain. So if you've got your website, they may go to Google and say, "Hey, I'm going to give you a 1-star review because." Now, I will also tell you, though, I literally jumped through hoops for a lady who had a tenant that had a gas leak under her house. And the gas company had come out and done some work, so they had to move the gas meter. They did everything to hook it up, but then they told her, "Hey, you've got a leak on your side." Calls me, says, "Hey, I need a plumber. It's an emergency." We jumped through hoops. My guy got out there and did some work. Then I went to pull the permit, and they said, "Well, that's in a historic district. You've got to call the Dallas Historical Society." So I'm jumping through hoops, and I call this lady. I said, "Look, they have literally told me it will take me a week to get this inspection." She's like, "Roger, look, I got a lady in there and it's freezing. We don't have a week." I said, "Well, I'm at the city of Dallas right now, the permit place. I've got to go down to the historical district downtown. Then I'll have to come back here, get it signed off. Then I'll have to go back." And she says, "Look, whatever it takes, I understand." So when the job was done, we did the job for what we told her we do, but then I charged her $500 for one day for me, all day
For running.
for running. And literally I sent the invoice, and she sent me a message, and she says, "Hey, call me. I want to talk about this." So I'm sitting down at home in the evening, and I call, and she literally says, "Hey, I'm sitting here in front of the Better Business Bureau, and I have written a negative review. And you either remove that price that you're charging me for your time, and I think you overcharged me too, so I want like a 10% discount. So you do this, or I'm gonna hit send." And I said, can I say one thing?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Make sure you spell my freaking name right." And she says, "What do you mean?" And I probably used a negative word here, but I said, "I'm not playing your game." And I didn't. And she gave me a negative review on the Better Business Bureau. And I fought it, and I still have an A rating on the Better Business Bureau because I sent them the emails, the texts, everything that she said, because I made sure to follow up. Are you seriously going to do this? She's like, "Yes, I am."
Yep.
And I mean, she detailed it. So I went in, and the Better Business Bureau gave me a C. And as soon as I saw it, I called them and I'm like, "Look, I will spend the rest of my life trying to ruin y'all for listening to some crack smoking lady who's just fighting and arguing. And I've showed you the documentation to prove what she's trying to do." The next day, my A rating was back. So acknowledge your complaints quickly, but don't cave to them. I mean, it's up to you, but you can offer solutions. I offered her a solution when I called and said, "Ma'am, look, I'm down here. I'm going to be here all day. We don't care. Please get her gas back on." And I did. And then one of the best things you can do, which I was really good at, encourage your happy customers, the ones that love what you're doing. Encourage them to leave you positive reviews. Because if you've got one negative reviews and 50 positive ones, most people are like, "Yeah, there's probably a problem here, and it's probably not the company." So I want you to think about that. Live near Washington State. Are the trades different? Okay. Live near Bellingham and Mount Vernon. Not sure where that area is. Are you close to Seattle? I know 2 or 3 companies in Seattle. Yeah, it is vague. Also, your show is literally helping me find my purpose in life. I am very appreciative of you doing this YouTube channel. Seriously, saving vets here. Man, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you for your service. Don't know if it helps, but I have 4 years of customer experience, 2 years in high volume sales. Dude, you will fit right in.
Yeah.
And I do. I love hiring vets. I'm not sure if you're anywhere near Seattle, but KG, if you'll reach out to me on LinkedIn and tell me who you are. I check the LinkedIn comments myself, and we need to fix that camera 3. I have to adjust it if I'm going to stand with
Oh, yeah.
right back there. But anyway, we'll see what we can do to help you out. All right, let's talk about vehicles. The pros and cons of leasing or buying. And I want to know the information you found. Then we're going to talk about what I actually did in the field.
So, yeah, and I know what you've done. Many trade businesses don't realize leasing can save them money in the long run. But buying pros, you own it.
You bet.
There's no limit on the mileage. There's no, "Oh, you can't do this." Guess what? You own it, so you've got full control. But at the same time, are you going to upkeep it? Are you going to take care of it right so that it'll last long enough to actually be more of a value than leasing? I don't know where you're at, what kind of guys you've got.
And it's going to be different for all of us.
It's going to be different for every one of us. So you've got to put these things into thought. But some of the leasing pros, low upfront cost. You don't have to buy, you don't have to put a big down payment. You don't have to do any of that. It's a tax write-off. And there's really easy upgrades every few years because at the end of that lease, oh,
They want you to keep
do
leasing.
you want to keep that one or do you want to lease this brand new, fresh van to put your guys in?
Hmm.
So these are some of the things that you're going to have to play with. You're going to have to put into where you're at in your space because owning and leasing, either one can be a win for you. Depends on where you're at in your business. Can you afford that heavy upfront cost? You know, like there were some questions the other days. Do I get a van? Do I get all these tools? Do I get? Well, if you already have some tools, maybe you can afford the big down payment so that you can own that van, truck, or whatever. Maybe you don't. Maybe you need to spend all your money on the tools, so it's better for you just to lease these first few years to get going, and then you can transition to owning if you want. Different things to play. You've got to figure out what is your business plan? What's your plan? How are you going to make your money? How are you going to afford either one of these vehicles? It's a lot of things to play with in your head. What'd you kind of go with?
You know, and I look at different things and I see the benefits of each. I love the fact of having a new vehicle every 4 years and maybe even 5. I think that the lease agreement we had, it was a 4-year lease, but if we leased it one more year, it was ours.
Oh, no.
Okay, so that was your buyout. So, you know, I think we're paying $600 a month. So for what, $7,200, it's yours. And that's not a bad deal. Now, if you're like me, I tend to keep vehicles longer. I've got a Jeep, a 2014 Jeep.
Yep.
I still have it. 10 years old, right? 24, almost 11 years old.
Yep.
But it's been paid for, God, 6 years, 7 years. You look at my truck right now, it's a 2022. 3 years old. I think I got 3 more years to pay on it. And it's like, okay, do I get rid of it? I've got 50,000 miles on it. I take good care of it. And I change the oil. I do the things that I'm supposed to do. So is it worth saying, hey, let's keep it? Yeah, maybe so. You've got to look at what's best for you. Do you want that new vehicle every 4 years? Do you want that clean, fresh look? One thing that you didn't mention that I love about the leases is literally you can design that vehicle, meaning we had the extra tall, extra long vans. We had them come in and fit it out where basically the Milwaukee shelving and everything, and we had it put in all 4 vans. And we leased 4 brand new vans at one time.
Yep.
We put trackers on them. We put monitors on them. That way, you know, you knew if people were speeding, you knew what they were doing. And it really is a big deal. So learning to figure that out, what's best for you. I love the idea of having a brand new vehicle every 4 years. That way the plumbers know, hey, look, if I take good care of this, and we talked the other day about which one gets the new vehicle. One who takes the best care of them.
Yep.
And you make that a big deal. Or it may be the one who sells the most. You go through and look at it and say, okay, how do we want to do this? I like the one that takes the best care of it because then he's getting the new vehicle, but his vehicle is still in pretty good shape. So you give that to the next best guy or somebody. And when they're like, how come I get his hand-me-downs? He checks his oil, tires. He checks everything every week. He keeps his vehicle clean. He does this, he does that. And when you're looking at it that way, you're rewarding them for taking care of your vehicle.
And most tradespeople love to compete.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can keep my truck better and cleaner
right.
than anybody else. Apprentice, your number one job is keep my van
That's
clean.
right. Yeah.
That is your number one job.
He is not going to get the next van.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah,
okay?
we are.
Clean
Don't
it
you want
every
a new
day.
van? Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't care if you come out with the car wash it and wash it every day. It is what it is and take care of it.
Yeah.
All right, social media. We're talking about welding again. And look, guys, I remember sitting with one of the big wigs in the union. And we're talking about welders one day. And I asked him, I said, so why do y'all focus on welders so much? He said, because whoever controls the welders controls the work. Any big building takes welding. takes a
Yep.
lot of welding. And if you're running big pipe, heating water, chill water, condenser water.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're talking Randy's language. If you're running stuff like that, you need the welders. And if you're bringing them in, you're training them. We talked a few weeks back about the veterans in the trades. Vets getting into welding is amazing. Most of them are well disciplined. They understand it. But I tell veterans, but look, if you want to own your own business, plumbing, electrical, and HVAC may be better. Because you go through, you get your license, you get your master's license, you're already well disciplined. You know how to run things, run a business to where you make money. So go ahead, talk about the welders for a little bit.
So today we're talking about welding tips and tricks. Mr. Jody Collier. The video we want to spotlight is torch angle on stainless. And many welders struggle with the correct torch angles, and this leads to bad welds and overheating. And when we say torch here, this is actually the welding
Which isn't a
head,
torch.
which it's called a torch in
Have you
TIG.
ever called it a torch?
No.
Okay, so don't even. I don't care what you read. Call it what it's
But-
called. Take the stinger.
Learning the correct angles of this stuff, because sometimes there's a flexible
Learn
head,
what they're called
a
too.
stinger. Yes, 100%.
I'm a plumber too.
But it comes with an adjustable head so that you can actually adjust to that angle.
Those are cool.
So it's not just, oh, you got to hold your wrist down to this when you're going up this
Yep.
part. You can actually kind of adjust it out and roll that cup out a little easier to match your movement. And it's huge. Like here, they're going through, they're teaching some tips and tricks for the right angles that you want to use, things you can look out for. And you can tell after you're done with one of these stainless welds, especially if you've got a purge, you've got this great scenario. It's going to show in the discolorations if you're doing things right or wrong pretty quick. And that's kind of huge. But also, like, make it a conversation. Ask the viewers what they do. What are their tips and tricks? Things like that. Using social media as a conversation platform is huge. Go live, jump in, talk in the chats, things like this. These are all things to get you out there, pass on your knowledge. And the main thing that builds that bond in that community is you passing on your knowledge and them learning from it. It helping them in their world. And that's what social media is about.
And the cool thing about it is getting the right tool to do the job. He's talking about an adjustable head with a cup. Well, you know what? If you look at a stinger where you put the rod in, you can adjust that too. I had some fitters that they like, look, I need a 70-degree cutting head. They're like, look,
It's just too easy.
This is the head that I want. I don't want the 90-degree. I want an angle on it because the way I cut, it makes my job better. It makes me do my job better. It makes me faster at my job. It makes me more productive. You come to me and tell me that, and you're on my cruise, like, dude, it'll be here in a minute. How fast can I go get one?
And the difference is, do you want me to make a perfect cut every time or not? You give me that 90-degree, okay, I can do it, yes, but it's not going to be 100% all the way around like I can with a 70-degree head.
And the cups you're talking about, MIG welding.
Yeah.
I've had MIG welders. They're like, look, here's what I want. Okay.
Yep.
You tell me what you want that's going to help you do your job better. Me and you are best friends. If I come up and, man, it's like, man, I'm having these problems. I'm doing this. And, well, how come? Well, I don't know. You got me this freaking 90-degree head, and it's just, I hate it. Okay. Have you? No. Did you tell me before you started you wanted a 70-degree head? No. Why not? Well, I didn't know you'd get it. Dude, I will get you anything. And it's funny. I was doing a job up on a roof, same job we were talking about earlier in downtown Dallas, a church, moving 2 cooling towers 3 feet.
Okay.
We had crane time scheduled. We had the crane set up. We had everything in the bid. And we got up there and we built the extensions where literally these cooling towers were basically going to slide over 3 feet.
Yep.
But we needed that to bring the piping up back here to run in here because of what all we were doing. So they put the extensions out, and I called my boss and said, hey, I'm going to order some high lift jacks. No, I didn't even call my boss. Let me correct that. I ordered 2 high lift jacks, and I had the welders where we put the extension on that end, put a temporary extension on the other end. And I took these high lift jacks and laid them down sideways. They built a kicker on it, put the jack up against it,
Push
took
them
some
over.
4x4s, and literally we had 2 high lift jacks, and we jacked these things and slid them 3 feet.
Yep.
And my boss, about a week later, calls me and he says, "Hey, you ordered some high lift jacks." I said, "Yes, I did." Well, I had a Jeep, and he had a Jeep. He said, "Have you got them?" I said, "Yeah, we got them in. We've already used them." He said, "So you don't need them anymore?" I said, "No, not really." I said, "I'll keep them around just in case." He said, "I'm not even going to ask why you ordered them, but when you're done, will you make sure that I get one of them? And I really don't care if you keep the other one." I said, "No, I'm good with that." I said, "But can I tell you why I ordered them?" He said, "Absolutely." So I told him what I did. He said, "How much did we have in for the crane? What's a crane? What does a crane cost in downtown Dallas to block off a street,
Oh,
set up the permits and the crane on a weekday?"
20K ballpark.
Yeah,
Depends on the size of the crane. Like there's a lot of other things that go into the calculation.
It was a good one. It was 25, I think, is what we had in the job.
Yeah, it's. I was gonna say just a quick ballpark 20K,
Yeah.
just because blocking traffic and all that, it doubled the instant price of 10.
Oh yeah,
Like-
absolutely. I think we had 25K in it, and I said, "We've already moved the cooling towers." He said, "I didn't see anything
Any
come through
crane."
on the crane." I said, "It didn't. We canceled it." He said, "How'd you do it?" And I explained it to him. And he said, "I love the way you think."
Yeah.
But it's like some people never see that. They're like, "We've got money to pick it up, move it, and set it down. It won't take but a couple of 3 hours." Yeah, but it's 2 hours to set up the street, 2 hours to break down the street. It's thinking so far outside the box. And welders make that possible, because I could go to my welder and say, "Hey, what y'all built here, can we build something like this over here? Here's what I'm trying to do." And they're like, "Dude, that may work." No, it's going to work, because if I'm going to have you do this, we're going to make it work.
I was gonna say I worked with a millwright for a while, and we did some cool stuff, and I've learned some neat tricks like that. It's like you don't always have to have some equipment. Sometimes you can do it with some small things.
You've got to be able to think outside the box.
Let's hit those.
Yeah. I don't understand a lot about the vague
Me
question.
neither. Yeah.
Big question is, best chance of success when building a business around that trade, or is it more about business skills? You want to learn the skills. You want to be the best at the skills.
Yeah.
But then you can learn a business, and with your discipline, you'll be able to do that. Combat engineer, I love that. Don't know if it helps, but I've been dabbling in AI, be some help in the business, so that can help you in your business or help you move up and run somebody else's. Good deal. I would recommend, jump over to my YouTube channel, Roger Wakefield. It's right there. Roger Wakefield Plumbing Education. You can learn a ton of stuff. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with being a welder too.
Yeah, he said he's up in Washington,
Yeah.
not far from old Tyler.
From Montana. Is that where it is?
I think Wyoming.
Yeah. So yeah, there's great opportunities, brother.
Yep.
This video is sponsored by Leak Pro. Leak Pro is the most precise leak detection system for professional plumbers that I've ever found. And I discovered Leak Pro in 2018, I believe. What is it? It has 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have my company. I started social media. It was
before,
right after I started social media, because I was actually at Social Media Marketing World
When you
in LA. The last Friday, what we thought we were going to do didn't happen. So me and Will rented a vehicle, drove down to San Diego, hung out with my friends from Meter Dog, and they were meeting a guy named Terry who had this leak detection product. And I met Terry, and it's like, "How you doing?" He said, "I'm getting old. I could die tomorrow." And then I found out about his product. And when I found out about his product, so if you're going to die tomorrow, I want your product. How do we work that out? And we never could. Took us 4 years.
I was gonna say
About 3 years ago, we finally got it. But I thought it was the best leak detection system out there. There's no adjustments. There's no knobs. There's no controls other than the volume on your headset and the button to make it hear. That's it. No adjustments. No knowing what frequency you're looking for. None of the crazy stuff that plumbers are like, "Look, I don't even know how to do this." So what I will tell you is it was the best leak detection equipment that I could ever find. And I've tried multiple ones. I've gone through training in Calabasas and Tampa, and then Morongo Valley with Terry. I loved it. And I'm like, you know what? This stuff is amazing. So if you want to find out more about Leak Pro, go to www.leak-pro.com or give Squirt a call. He can teach you how to do the leak detection, the line location, the leak isolation on sewer and PVC, on cast iron and PVC. And guys, it'll change your business. So give him a call at 1-8888-LEAK-PRO. And yes, KG, LinkedIn is my name. Guys, thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it. Love having y'all here. We do this every day at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. If you know any tradespeople that you think may like this, hit the share button at the bottom. Tell them about it. And if you make a post of yourself watching it, tag me in it. I'll make sure that my team shares that, and we'll give you a little love too. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody, and I hope to see you here tomorrow.
Guys, have a great day. TikTok.